Thanks for having us. So as Sean said, I'm Pete. I am director of a company called HEM Talent. So I work in sports management, so work with Rahni. We work across the netball, basketball, AFL, AFLW space, Olympians. So we've got about 100 athletes, and we work across the board in the professional sense, and then obviously a lot of emerging as well. So we have a lot of young guys who are playing in the L1, girls playing in the Chinook, netball as well, and working across the country and world as well. We've got some athletes over in the UK and New Zealand too, and then some Olympians and aspiring Olympians too. And today, so we're lucky enough to work with Rahni. We've worked with Rahni now for 2 years. Yeah, I think it is, which is awesome. So Rahni is one of our favourite clients. She's in New York. Right? But no, so today we'll touch on a little bit. It's going to be about Rahni. I'll touch a little bit on it at the end, and if there's any questions and stuff regarding the athlete management stuff, I'll touch on a little bit in going through some of the pathways and opportunities that can happen, and college stuff, because there's a few basketballs around as well, so happy to kind of guide you on that kind of stuff too. And, but today we'll talk about Rahni and her journey, which has been up and down as it's kind of gone through the career, and with some injuries and some bits and pieces, and then obviously making it last season as well for first professional contract, which is super exciting to be a part of. So I'll hand it over to you, Rahni.
Thanks. I'll just start basically from the very beginning. I first started playing sport very young. I've got 4 brothers, so 2 older, 2 younger. I'm the only girl. So when I first started playing, it was a lot of basketball, rugby. I just wanted to show that I was just as tough as the boys. I could handle anything. So that's what I did. My mum threw me into netball at 11 because she didn't want me becoming a thug. She quite liked all of my teeth. Little did she know, in netball, my first 3 games I cried because they elbowed me in the mouth. And I was like, Mother, this is not what I signed up for. Was making rep teams for both netball and basketball, and eventually had to choose between the two. And I felt I just naturally gravitated towards netball. So that's what I ended up choosing. My journey when I was younger, just kind of naturally talented and was skimming along on that. Never really had too much of an issue. It's when I was a little bit older and the girls were all catching up to me in height that I really had to learn discipline and hard work. So I got turned away from quite a few state teams and Aussie development teams as I was growing up. But my first Aussie development team that I made was when I was 17. So I made the Vic team, and then I made the Aussie squad. And that's actually when I first got introduced to stuff like this. So the gym and the real strength and conditioning side. So I got accepted, I got a scholarship to the VIS. And that's where I started my journey with strength and conditioning. And I think it was just very, very underrated work that helped build my career. So it set a really strong foundation for me to just work hard and have that resilience to take it onto the court as well. So I love my time at the VIS. They had a few facilities and services that they offer. So I got a gym membership free of charge. So I could use the AFS track and I could also use the gym. I got a S&C trainer. We could use physio, the masseuse, dietitian, sports doctors, sports psychs, anything that you could think of. We also had like a personal excellence officer who would help us with school as well, because for my family, school was very, very important, and I'm sure a lot of you guys right now are trying to find the balance between both and find that time management. So I had to struggle with that for a few years, especially going into VCE. I was achieving quite a high level in my netball, so I basically lived in my diary. I had to plan every minute of every day just so I could do everything that I wanted and keep my standards as high as what I wanted. The real interesting stuff actually happened at about 2018. So 2018, I was 20. I was a training partner for the Melbourne Vixens. Do you guys know what that means? Yeah, tell me, what does it mean? We'll make this a little bit interactive. Training partner with the Melbourne Vixens.
Is that where, like, you're not part of the team, however, you're still working with them and in their environment, so you get a level of understanding of what they do and how they run before you're actually required to play?
Yeah, perfect. So they usually have training partners because they see them becoming future players of that club. We do absolutely everything for them. We train, so we do court sessions, gym sessions. We work for them, so we have all the uniform, all the gear. The only thing we don't do is play. And they'll usually, if there's an injury, the training partner usually steps up to take the spot because we know how the team functions, we know how it works, and it's like a seamless transition. So it's all about player development. And that was my very first year part of the Melbourne Vixens. I played in the level just beneath it, so the Australian Netball League, for the Victorian Fury. So that was kind of like the VFL, it was the drafting league. And I wanted to make an impression. I don't know if you saw me walk in, but can you guys guess how tall I am? Just throw out some numbers.
62.
6 foot. So I'm 6 foot exactly. Is that tall for a netballer? No. So even in the Melbourne Vixens team, I'm the shortest goaler. Okay, the other girls are 6'1". In particular, I'm a goal shooter, so I usually stand and wait for everyone else to do the work before the ball gets to me. That is very, very short for a goal shooter. They're usually about 6'4", and if they're not 6'4", then they can jump very, very high, which again is not me. I was always told I was too short, too inexperienced. I had a few opportunities in 2018 with goalers getting injured, but they kept telling me we need to get someone fitter and more experienced. Someone fitter, more experienced, sorry, you're just not there yet. So that kind of fueled me in the A&L space to show them that I can make it with the big dogs. I was like, I know I have my limitations, but I just wanted to prove a point that I deserve to go to the next level. We played about 16 games, including finals. I shot over 600 goals. This is a fun question always. What do you think my percentage was? 70. That's actually decent, but higher.
9.
Huh?
9.
90.
You like shoot layups about 50%.
I could take any if you want to shoot a competition anytime, any day. And I will put my money where my mouth is. Because I'm not that tall, I worked really hard to be able to shoot from range. At the end of 2018, I was really proud of this achievement. I won MVP for both the Victorian Fury, so for my team, and for the entire league. Which, if you're thinking about that, meant that I was one of the best goalers in Australia at that time. Mum and Dad always taught me to be humble. I mean, netball is a team sport. If my players don't help me get the ball, then I really can't do anything about it. But that award, or those 2 awards, I worked very, very hard for it. And I wanted to prove a point. It was all of the work in the gym. It was them saying, you need to do this, me putting my head down, doing the work outside so that it would show on the court. So I was super, super proud of myself. And I was waiting, usually after that, the MVP of the league gets picked up by a team. So I was waiting for calls. Do you think anyone called me?
It's before last time.
But it was, he's helped so much. No one called. I got one call from England. They wanted me to play in Bath. I'd only just finished my first year at uni, and I was scared. I'll admit, I was very scared. I've lived in the same house all 24 years of my life. Didn't want to leave my family. Didn't want to leave my comfort zone. And also at the time, the SSN is what I would call the MBA of netball. A lot of the internationals want to come here, play here, because it is a really, really good league. So I wanted to make it here. I didn't want to leave, and I knew that I was just on the cusp of making it. The one call that I got was from Simone. There were some positions available at the Vixens, but she still wanted me to be a training partner, which I admit did hurt a little bit. I thought, I proved myself. But I said, yes, okay, I'll do more. At the end of 2018, not even During any competition, I sustained an injury. Can anyone guess what I injured?
Has anyone done their
Guesses? No
research?
guesses?
Ankle.
Ankle. Close, no. But thank you for answering.
Thank you, whoever that was.
What'd they say?
Judge says, well, it wasn't. Well, yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, I tore my ACL. So the Melbourne girls, or the girls that were based in Victoria, were getting together to prepare for the Constellation Cup, so those who have made the Aussie team. And they needed numbers to fill up the training. So I had actually had the flu. I had the full body chills and body aches, because back in 2018 you could still go to training whilst you were sick. I'd done a 2 to 3 hour gym session in the morning, but I wasn't going to say no to this opportunity. I wanted to take as much as I could, but I was exhausted. I was so fatigued. During the session, I couldn't even think straight. I was with one of my good friends, Jackie Newton. She plays for the Collingwood Magpies now. She was even saying, Rahni, you look so tired. She wasn't pushing me out at all when we were doing drills, because she could see how tired I was. At the end, with like 5 minutes to go of the training session, I had 2 defenders on me, went to dodge, knee went in, completely snapped. So I went from the peak of my career all the way down to the bottom. From one of the best goalers to not even in contention anymore. And that was in December, so I had to have surgery then. All of 2019 was spent rehabbing. How long is an ACL recovery?
12 months.
12 months. And they said there's no point getting you back early, considering I did it in December. So 2019 was completely scratched out for me. And it was really hard and very, very devastating. I asked to see a psychologist almost straight away, because whilst I was feeling pretty good about the injury, I felt like I had dealt with it. I knew that in that 12-month journey I was going to have so many ups and downs, and that I wanted to be so mentally tough to tackle all of the challenges that nothing could stop me. It really was, I want to be back bigger, better, stronger, but I struggled a lot at the time. I was 21. So many girls were up and coming. They love like 17, 18, 19-year-olds climbing the ranks. So me being 21, having this major injury, I was worried someone was going to replace me. It was so quick. Victoria is so good with sport across every level. Basketball, footy, netball, someone's always there on your heels. So not being able to do anything about it was very mentally tough. So, but I did it. I was in the gym almost every day. So from Monday to Saturday, I was in the gym trying to do full-time uni at the same time. But I was there for maybe about 3 to 4 hours, just working hard, trying to get the range back, trying to get strength back, really being that better, stronger, faster. I thought I did everything. Looking back, there's actually nothing I would have changed. I thought I threw everything into that rehab. And at the start of 2020, so I was still with the Vixens in 2019, doing my strength and conditioning work at the VIS. Start of 2020, about January, February, they sat me down and Simone looked at me and she said, "Great job on your rehab, you've done very well, but it's not enough. You don't have the intensity that we need at the Vixens. You're not up to the standard that we need you to be a training partner. So for 2020, we are not offering you a training partner contract." And it crushed me. Doing everything that I could, showing up every day, going above and beyond, and then being told you're not enough, it almost broke me. It was a very, very hard time. Then what happened in 2020? I was like, you know what? This is okay. It's only because I haven't seen anything yet. Also 2019, the Big Fury, they won the premiership then. We didn't win it in 2018. So seeing them win, I had tears of joy, but also of FOMO because I wanted to be there holding up the cup. And again, all the girls, they really liked the girls coming up. Me, again, being 22 now, I'd missed out on a lot. So they had a choice between girls who had great potential or a kind of has-been who's a little bit older and now is just coming back from a major injury and hasn't played at all. So 2020, I was like, that's okay. They just need to see me play and then they'll change their mind. They just need to see me play. 2020, what happened? COVID. So my comeback year did not come. I was on the couch with you. They all went off to Brisbane in the hub to continue playing netball and I was stuck at home. I still actually was able to see my psychologist, which was very, very beneficial for me. Even sitting down, just telling him, I was like, I'm angry, I'm sad, this sucks, was super beneficial. That fueled me. So watching them on the TV, that fueled me. When we were only allowed out for an hour every day, that whole hour was spent running. There was not a moment outside that I wasn't running. I would watch the netball, get fired up, go out and do a session. I had lost my scholarship to the BIS. So some of the netballers still had to stay back, but at least they got to train. Losing the contract with the Vixens actually also made me lose my scholarship to the BIS. So I didn't have a gym. I couldn't continue my strength and conditioning work with someone. So I was actually completely by myself and very, very alone. Thankfully, I had some good friends who let me, at a very discounted price, get some gym equipment in the house so I could keep going with my strength, keep focusing on my knee, getting strong, lean, and fast, because that's always been my feedback. I'm not really a runner. So I wanted to run. 2021, I made a promise to myself that anytime I stepped out on the court, I was going to give it 110%. Leave nothing behind. I didn't know if we were going back into lockdown. I could also very well get injured again. At that point, I hadn't played for nearly 3 years, so I knew literally anything can happen. But what I wanted, when I walked off of that court, whether it was a win or a loss for the team, I wanted to be happy with my performance. If I genuinely gave everything that I had, then I was happy with that. So that's what I did. Started getting a bit more recognition in the VNL, so I played for the Aerials. And I got a call from Simone after a few rounds. One of the players had injured herself, and she called me and she said, Rahni, it looks like Melbourne's going into another lockdown. We've had to leave a little bit earlier. The game was on Saturday. Usually they leave the day before Friday. But she called me on Wednesday and said, we're leaving now. Would you like to come and be part of the team? Would you like to be a replacement player? And I was like, has anyone ever said no to this opportunity? Like, it would be pretty funny if I was the first. But no, I said yes. I went, and I actually made my debut. So for the Vixens leading up into this, they actually won the premiership in 2020. And it was round 5, and they hadn't won a game yet. I was a little bit shocked. They had 3 goalers, and me being in the team meant I was the 4th. She put me on to start, and I played out the full game. Can anyone guess my shooting stats, actually? Just got some numbers. How many goals did I shoot?
40.
Oh, you have a lot of faith in me. Pardon?
In one game?
This is my debut game.
6.
I shot.
Is it 500 career goals?
6.
Is it 543?
Oh, no, that was in A&L. So this was my first Vixen game, so it's a harder level.
How long is the game?
60 minutes.
60.
So 4 15-minute quarters. I ended up shooting 19 out of 19 regular goals. And netball just introduced a new rule that you can have 2-pointers. It's from a bit of range. So I shot 19 out of 19 regular goals, and I got 8 out of 10 2-pointers. So I did, a total of 93% in my first game. I also got an intercept, which never happens. So I'll just put that out there. I got an intercept too, guys. Just absolutely wanted to put everything out on the court. Again, I thought that was going to be my last opportunity. I didn't want to think about it too much, but I was like, how old was I? 22? I was 22 at the time. I knew this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, especially for me. Again, a lot of the girls debut when they're 17, 18, 19. So this was my one shot. I got very Eminem by myself in my hotel room. And I was like, I've been doing this all year. I've been doing this all year in the VNL, so I'm just going to do it again, sit down, put everything out on the court, and what happens, happens. And thankfully I showed them, and I did enough to actually earn myself a contract for next year. So I only played 2 more games after that before Emily Mannix, she was the girl who was injured, before she came back. So what happens in netball is you have 10 contracted athletes. If someone gets injured or sick, someone can replace them, but as soon as they're better, doesn't matter how well the person has performed, they are out of the team again. Because the 10 contracts are solidified, you can't really work their way around it. After that first game, probably about a week or 2 after, I met Peter, gave him a call, a few of the girls. I knew I wanted to get a manager because I knew I needed an extra edge. In 2018, I definitely learnt my lesson. I thought I played well in 2018, and I thought the opportunities would just come, but they didn't. So this time, I wanted to make sure I had someone on my side really advocating for me because I knew nothing about it. I had absolutely no clue. So I asked around. Peter's name got mentioned more than once. So did you call me? Yeah. I wanted to reach out to just see what could happen. And thankfully, he's done a very good job. And I get to do fun stuff like this. But this year was my first season. And I was really ready to, do it all again, try and match my first game, make sure I wasn't overrated. And halfway through the season, I was tracking really well. Doing super well. Halfway through the season, went down, because we don't have the A&L following anymore. I dropped down to the VNL to get my court time. And I was playing the Saints and unfortunately got injured yet again. So same knee. I just took some cartilage out, which theoretically shouldn't be too long, but it took me out for half the season. So that's about 7 weeks. We made finals, so we finished top of the ladder, and I was able to come back 1 game before finals, play the semi, and I actually got some court time in the grand final too. So that was really good. My knee is still not the best, because we rushed my rehab a little bit. So right now, during this off-season, I'm at the VIS again, working really hard on them Monday to Saturday, just trying to get really, really strong and as lean as I can. I think that's really important for the health of my knee. I probably took that a little bit for granted because I came back from my ACL so well. I kind of was a little bit slack and not doing as much strength as what I should have. So yeah, making sure that I'm doing, I like ticking all the boxes and going through every step right now, so that next season I can be available for the full season, because I really do, again, want to be up there with the big dogs. I can see the international level is right there. I know I'm just a rookie, but I see the girls who are playing now, and I know that's where I want to be. So doing the work now to make sure that I can get there. Yeah, that's not really basic. Hey, Christian, take it over.
I can. Is there any questions at all?
Be creative with the questions.
The year that it was your MVP year, why do you feel you didn't get any phone calls?
That's a great question. I'm again, I'm built differently to a lot of the girls who are normally in netball. As a goal shooter, I'm very short. That whole season, I only played goal shooter. And they have so many of those right now. Usually the bookends, so the defenders and the goalers, are filled with a lot of internationals because they are quite elite. They are huge. There's, have you guys heard of Janine Fowler? Janine Fowler, she plays for the West Coast Fever. She also plays for Jamaica. She is a physical beast.
Isn't she like 6'4"?
She's like 6'5", 190 something, and she is very, very large. Lots of muscle, very hard to get around. That's probably their ideal type of shooter. I'm not that, so they want me to be more of a goal attack, and that is probably one of the biggest areas that I can improve in. So they'd only seen me in goal shooter. There wasn't a spot there for me. And so they didn't really want to risk the goal attack because they hadn't seen me play there. The only club that had seen me play goal attack were the Vixens, and they just thought I wasn't experienced enough or fit enough to maybe run that out, which is why they signed me again as a training partner because they really wanted to get that goal attack role up and running. So I think it was just maybe not right timing. There were too many experienced goalers still in there. I basically only really got my opportunity at the Vixens because the year before, 2 of our goalers had retired. So there was a lot more space. It came a bit later, but there was opportunity there.
So if you've always been a goal shooter but you've been undersized, why do you feel teams haven't played you in other positions, or if they explored that before, like in juniors? Or
Yeah, in juniors they realised that, I was good. There's always been a development. Maybe when I was 18, that's when they said, okay, we're actually going to develop you as a goal attack. But then things happened. So again in 2018, the reason why I played most of it in goal shooter is because the 2 girls in front of me in Victoria who are about my age or a year older, they're like nearly 200 centimetres tall.
Yep.
They all got injured or went to different teams. So that's why I kind of filled in. And I just performed very, very well as a goal shooter. So I think when putting me on the court, they put me on in goal shooter, I do very well. They try to switch it up, the team starts losing, and then they put me back in goal shooter and we win. So I feel like that's why growing up I've always just been a goal shooter, and that goal attack development has only ever really been in training or like we try this out there.
yeah, cool. What was the biggest lesson you learnt from rehabbing with your knee?
The biggest lesson was both on and off, on and off the field, on and off the court. Mentality is everything. The way you think is everything. Your body will follow your mind. And if you don't have a good balance, it's going to be very, very hard. During 2019, I actually developed a skin condition. Do you guys know what dermatography is? So it's like a skin writing condition. So I could write high, I could scratch it like that, wait 3 to 5 minutes, and you'd be able to see it. So it would be up, it would be red, it would be puffy, very itchy. And that was just a pure stress reaction. I was so stressed with everything and I wasn't dealing with it properly. I didn't realize it until I was in the gym, was doing training, took my jumper off because it was getting hot, accidentally nicked my face, and then for the next 15 minutes there was this angry red line, and I was like, this has never happened before. I've never had skin conditions like this. And yeah, that's when I really had to lean on my psychologist. I was stressed because it was taking a very long time. You don't see much progress day to day with an ACL injury. Every day is so hard. Your muscles are so tight. Studying at uni till 8 p.m, going home, not getting much sleep, going back and doing it again. Uni, training, uni. And I I didn't have any balance. I didn't have any fun. So you need to do that. You need to be able to schedule in you time and do stuff that is good for you. So that was, the biggest thing. That the body follows the mind.
So what sort of things do you do to manage that stress away from netball?
I've gone back to planning every minute of every day. I know the things that trigger me. We're very, very big on family. So I need to prioritise my family time. Also financially, didn't grow up the wealthiest. Mum and dad both dropped out of high school when they were younger, which is why education was so, so important to my family, my mum and dad. They just wanted the best for me, so they wanted me to complete school to the best of my ability, like get an education, go to uni, do what's best for me. Because they knew netball wouldn't last forever and injuries happen, so they wanted me to be more than just a netballer. So being able to work, to provide for my family is also super important. So for me, I need a good balance between training, work, friends, and then me time. And I schedule that in. If that's all working in harmony, then I am like peak running.
So this is a question we ask like all our guests. What are your hobbies away from netball and family?
My hobbies, that is a great question. It's only been recently that I've figured this out. I studied a double degree, science arts. Don't ask me what I can get with that. But we had to do a lot of reading, so reading kind of bored me. This year I've really gotten back into it. I absolutely love reading. Learning is one of my favourite things. I love dancing. I have a group of friends where recently it's been Beyonce's new album, Renaissance, where we just do dances at home, put on little performances for each other. I love going for walks just to clear my head, listen to my music. I'm very emotionally invested in music. But yeah, those are my hobbies.
So what advice, there's a bunch of athletes here that struggle with that downtime and finding themselves away from sport. What advice would you have for them?
I would suggest schedule in some time to really find it. It's going to be hard and it's going to feel weird. I had to Google hobbies. Like, what are some hobbies? It felt weird. And all of the stuff that came up, it was like, go for a walk, meditating, reading. I was like, this sounds so boring. And I was like, people actually do this. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to give everything a fair chance. There was like a list of 50 hobbies. And I was like, I'm just going to do it for a week, see if I like it, see if I can get into it. And it happened, and that's how I found mine. But you need to prioritize that because you need something else other than the sport, because if you're too reliant on it, you're not going to be very well-rounded or balanced, because you are more than your sport. You're not just basketball, you're not just netball, you're not just footy. You are a person like I'm Rahni. I'm not just a netballer. I want to be more than a netballer. I want to inspire people. I want to help people. I want to teach them other things. I also want to help them on their journey. So if you can take anything from my journey, even just one little thing, if you can learn from my mistake, then that's all. I'm satisfied and fulfilled.
It's good.
Just kind of like with the whole plan of going through netball pathways, do you ever have that fear of what if this is my last injury and then what's next? So having to then commit yourself 100% when you step on that court to worrying like possibly like what's next, like what happens if that's it, you can't play netball anymore.
I tend to not think about the what's next, because doing that overwhelms me a little bit. There are so many possibilities, and instead of thinking about those possibilities, it's like, well, what can I control now? I'm going to focus on now, because now is all really that matters. What I do now in this moment. Like, I could waste my time thinking about the what ifs. I'll probably develop my dermatography again. So I just focus on the right now. I have a bit of an alter ego, stepping out onto the court. I'm the Steph Curry of netball, basically.
Like she literally is. So not to bum up like Rahni. So the 2-point shot. Has anyone watched a professional netball game? I'm not listening recently.
Basically like
So
hitting a
2-point
half-court
shots
shot.
coming in 3 years. This is the third season coming
Yeah.
up. So it completely changed netball in the sense where international netball, for example, don't even have a 2-point shot. It's just in Australia. And yeah, Rahni's percentage shooting from 2-point is out of this world compared to a lot of the athletes that actually shoot a high volume. So she very much is the best shooter, 2-point shooter. You could arguably say in the world right now.
I've worked very hard for that. And like off the court, I do think about the what ifs, like what if I miss, what if I lose the percentage, like I've built myself up, what's going to happen, but on the court it's like, no, I'm going to get this in. Like I don't think about anything else. If I miss, it's like, well, give it to me again and I won't miss. It's, if I start over-analysing, like your body feels it, you get tense, you're probably not going to go with your normal technique and it just doesn't flow. I've probably shot from every position in that circle a million times. So I let my muscle memory, I let my kind of body speak for itself. I think about nothing, I relax. Ideally it's a blank mind, but if I do think, it's always positive, it's always going to go in. It's not, what if I miss this? What if this happens? If it happens, it happens. I'm just going to let everything do the talk. It's very hard to stay in the present. I've spoken to my psychologist about how you can stay in the present. And you can practice this just in the car as well. So if you're driving, if your parents are driving, stay in the moment. It's going to be hard because your mind is going to wander. But you're driving, you're like, okay, my hands are on the steering wheel, this feels like this. I'm looking outside at the cars, there's a red car, there's this car. I'm going 80 kilometers per hour. I'm now looking in the mirror behind me at the car, and their license plate is this, that's their color. Like, staying present in the moment. You're going to think, oh, this is a great song, and then you're going to start singing, but then that takes you out of it. So really being there, I'm sitting on the seat. If your car's bougie and has seat warmers, wow, these seat warmers, they feel great. I can feel the warmth emanating from the seat. If you don't, it's like, I'm freezing. These other seats are way too cold. I'm going to turn on the heater. Like, what does everything feel like? What can you smell? What can you see? Just really getting in touch with the present, and that's probably going to help later.
How has Pete helped you?
Peter's helped me heaps in just understanding the dynamics of netball. And it's probably going to be the same for your sport. It would be great if netball was just netball and that was it, but there's so much else behind it. It's a much bigger space than what I thought. And he has helped me do stuff like this. I never thought I would be able to sit here and talk to other athletes that are trying to make it in their sport. I never thought that there'd be a space for me like this to help inspire other people. He's also helped me understand the intricacies, because there is politics in all sport. He's helped me navigate that and conduct myself in a way that I'm proud of. I have very strong loyalty values, family orientated, and if you don't do it in the right way, you can be seen as rude, other teams can kind of get put off from you, but he's really helped me, and he's also advocated for my best interest as well, and done what's best for me. After that debut, the Vixens were only probably gonna, or any club was probably only gonna offer me a 1-year contract because they wanted to continue for me to prove myself. But Peter got me a 2-year deal, which really ensured my security and helped me actually play with no fear this year. Sometimes that fear of, trying to get signed and continuing to prove yourself, sometimes that can be detrimental, but I came into the season like, you know what, I'm just going to go out there again, try my best, leave nothing on the court. And that helped because I had that security of a second season. So, no, he's helped me so much.
Does anyone got any other questions? I've got questions for days.
Just quick show of hands, sport-wise, what are we playing? I'll go, because I know there's a lot of basketballs in here. Basketball? Okay.
I swear I've got other
So I'll just
athletes.
ask, what sport do you two play?
Netball.
Netball?
Yep.
And there's one more hands?
Football.
Football. Cool. So I'll touch on a little bit about being an agent, and just to give you guys a bit of an understanding, because it's probably, like you guys are super young at the moment, it's a little bit of a different world in the sense of even in the emerging space. So we work, like, our agency per se really focuses on everybody. I'm a bit of a sucker for it, like I love dealing with guys and girls that are coming through the ranks essentially to be able to help come through. And a lot of our basketball clients, so we now got 10 in the NBL and one in the WNBL, but 9 of the 11 are actually DPs, so development players. They've actually come through the NBL 1 ranks, have come through youth league ranks, and probably half of those guys haven't even made state team who've come through, or played state and literally averaged 2 minutes in a tournament. So it didn't come through. So for me, it's about the person, and I'm kind of speaking generally in the basketball, but netball's exactly the same. We don't focus on the big high-end clients who have all the absolute talent. I'll be really honest, as a kid who's going to go top 5 pick in the AFL this year, we walked away from because he was a dickhead. Like, he was just a complete dickhead. And he'll be successful and he'll do really well, but for us, we want to deal with the guys that are prepared to work hard and the girls that are prepared to work hard. We're an agency that work with 70% women. We're really hard. Like, I've got 2 young twin girls who are 10 who love the sport, and for me, that was massive to be able to advocate and promote women's sport. And I think that's a big thing. Just even advice, like even Dave, like when you were going through the college stuff, like it's just some advice stuff that's there that you don't necessarily get as you step through, because you're always going to go, yep, I'm going to make the best team and do this. And sometimes if you don't make that team, you think that it's the be all and end all and that ends. And it doesn't. And what's really cool, you've got a heap of different people at different stages of your careers, but you know, you go like Luke down there who's done really well and is stepping through this season, is guys to continue to look up to. So if I'm going to give you one bit of advice, it's to find someone that you look up to and copy them. Someone who's really good. Someone you look at that's the best trainer that you've ever seen in your life, and do everything that they do.
Don't look at me.
So whoever's at the gym that you think works the hardest, buddy up with them. The good thing you've got is that you guys have started really, really young. Like, I've got 19, 20-year-old guys that would have no idea what they're doing in the gym. I've got 17-year-old footballers that wouldn't even know what a strength and conditioning program looks like. And they're just starting to develop it. And within 12 months and 2 years of actually developing the program and actually working really hard at it, it's amazing the things that change in their sporting career. But that's my biggest advice, is to find someone that's awesome and copy them. Make sure they're a good person when they do things. It's probably my biggest advice. I'd probably rehash if you're looking at Sean as someone to look up to. Work your way through. Like, that's genuinely, like, surround yourself with good people, and it's amazing what follows. And it's exactly the same with your teams. And the teams you might choose to play with, or the guys you might, like, 9 times out of 10, it's not the best idea to play with your best mates at the highest level that you can play. Because sometimes you're just looking to support them rather than support yourself, and surround yourself with really good people. Really good coaches, really good people, and make sure you've got a big network of people around. I'm someone that's more than happy to chat to anyone and throw around advice and work just to say, hey, this is the best way to go. Because I know, especially at basketball, there's so many questions of college, the route through youth league and NBL 1, and how you can actually go to be a pro. And there's a lot of ups and downs that come with that, and it doesn't necessarily come straight away. But what's amazing in the basketball space now is that if you don't make it as an 18, 19-year-old, it doesn't matter at all. Like, a lot of guys and girls come into the league now, 21, 22, 23, and there's so much more well-rounded as people. I think at 18, you've got no idea who you are as a person. 19 is probably the same. You're probably going to figure that out until you're in your early 20s. So don't be worried at all if at 16 you don't make a state team, or at 17 you don't make a state team. It doesn't define anything that you get a 16. So,
What does a high-performance culture mean to you guys?
A high-performance culture to me is just challenging yourself and embracing, like, looking forward to those challenges. So I think even just hearing Peter talk, I will go to the gym. I'm a bit of a sucker for being a show pony as well. Not being very arrogant or too wild about it, but at a commercial gym or even at the VIS, you know, we're surrounded by, the VIS in particular, we're surrounded by elite athletes of their sport. So I'm going to go at the gym and it's like, I want to impress these other athletes. I'm going to go in there and lift really heavy, have really good technique, because I want them to maybe glance over and be like, damn, like she's pushing it. Like she's doing very, very well. So a high performance is no jealousy, and I think we achieved that really well at the Vixens this year. Sometimes there can be jealousy within a team, especially when there are spots on the court to be taken, and it's your spot in particular. So with the goalers, you know, 3 of us, only 2 of us can be on court at one time. But we, all of us together, when someone else was doing really well, it was just all encouraging, like, you have killed that. You were shooting so well today, and that motivated me to be better. It's like, you know what, well, if that's what it takes to be out on the court, I'm going to do one better. You shot at 90%, I'm going to shoot at 95. She sees that, and she's like, well, I'm going to shoot at 100. And if they can go out on court, it's like, well, fair enough. You did better. You absolutely crushed that. Go on. Now I know what I need to do to try and beat you and take your spot. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is all politics. Like, this is gross. Like, I can't believe she's doing that. Thinking really bad things. It was, you know what, I'm going to push myself to keep getting better. I'm going to choose the best defender on this team to play against. Because even though I'm going to get beaten sometimes, it's only going to make me better. And I'm going to beat her. So that's, for me, the high performance culture. Embracing those challenges. Looking forward to it, and even sometimes seeking it out. So it's like, this player is killing it. I know they're great. I want to play against them. People tell me who's the worst defender to play on, and I genuinely can't answer it, because the best defenders in the world right now, they're like Jamaican and they play for the Adelaide Thunderbirds. They're my favourite to play on, because I want to challenge myself against the best. If I'm going to be the best, I need to play against the best. And if they beat me, that just fuels me to be better. I'm very competitive. Don't like getting beaten. Don't like losing. And it's like, if I beat them, well, then that gives me so much satisfaction. So yeah, that's high performance for me.
It's good. Have you noticed anything with the athletes you work with, Pete?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I see in the high performance culture is the ability for you to say a goal in front of everyone in the room and not be afraid what the pushback might be from everyone else sitting there. And I think that's a really big thing that we promote with the guys and girls that we work with, is that if you want to play for Australia, then say it. Because at the end of the day, my job is to be able to not just support them in a contract sense, but like to support them in their absolute goals in everything they're looking to try and achieve, and surround them with the right people who can help them get the best out of themselves. So I think if you're in a high performance culture and you're talking about your goals, you should be confident in being able to say, especially in the environment and in a place like SRA and even in your clubs or your coaches. It's funny, when you start saying things and goals out loud, it's amazing how you change as well when you actually start telling people you want to do something. Because probably your biggest fear is then actually not achieving it. And even if you don't actually achieve it, is guess what, how close you'll actually get because you put it out there. So I think that's the big thing I notice with a lot of guys. I promote it and say, what do you want to get out of this year? What do you want to achieve this year? And what are the things you want to do? And you know, I think, you know, most of you probably think an agent sits there and talks on the phone and pushes contracts. But honestly, probably 80% of my time is literally talking crap to these guys. Because for us, we look at it as a 360 degree. Like, we look at it as, if Rahni's feeling awesome and she's feeling comfortable and she's feeling good, then she's going to perform at the highest level that we can. I've never played netball before in my life. Like, I've never stepped foot on the court. The closest I've got to anything coaching my 2 daughters at netball for 2 seasons. But at the end of the day, I don't ever tell her how to play. That's not my job. And you know, if you're looking for someone to get around you and support you, it's actually just having someone in the corner. Literally, I'm a mate to half the guys I work with and girls I work with. We can just catch up, have coffee, talk shit about anything. So I think the big thing for me in high performance is just being able to go, hey, this is what I want to achieve, and then looking for help for it, because you won't get it on your own. So I think that's a big thing. So if there's anything you're going to try and achieve, it's find someone else in the gym that might be able to help you. They might be say, hey, speak to Sean about that, who knows that, or he might be able to help you on from there. So just don't be afraid to throw out lofty goals. It's amazing how achievable they are.
So what sort of things do you do to help Rahni be a better person off the court?
Just keep her out of trouble. No, I think it's just a genuine check-in. Like, I think that's part of it as well. Like, you know, it will, like, if I'm in the car, like, I spend my life on my phone. I make 120, 130 calls a day. That's my day. That's my job. That's me lifting weights. Like, literally, that's my high performance is literally making sure that I speak to my clients consistently all the time to ensure that they're just in the right headspace. Like, I can tell when they're pissed off when they've had a shit game. And not necessarily by the way that they've played, but just by the way they've walked off court or the way they've done it. And they'll probably have a text message after a game going, how you doing, all right? Or just genuinely checking in. But also just making sure, like, you've all been a part of being selected for a team and not getting into a team at some point that you probably think you deserve to. My job in a professional landscape is to make sure if I believe in you, that you're there, that, hey, guess what, you're going to be at the forefront of that conversation, and I'm going to find out why. I work for these guys, I don't work for the teams. I'm not probably loved by all the teams because I ask a lot of questions. I like to find out why, I like to push back. I like to say, hey, this isn't in their best interest. So, you know, in helping her life, it's providing opportunities, it's finding out what they love and what they're passionate about, and it's digging down into that. Some of them love appearances, some of them love Instagram. Some of them love getting free stuff and posting. Some of them love not anymore. I've got an AFL player that doesn't have a Facebook, doesn't have Instagram. He just said, Pete, get me 3 boots a year. That's all I care about. And just let's talk about contracts. And to be honest, we don't talk about footy. Like, he hates talking about footy. Like, he's a very, very good footballer and he hates it. He's like, he couldn't tell you 10 blokes on another team. Like, he has no care factor. He just knows the guy he's playing against, knows his role, hits blokes, and that's all he does. But we just talk about life. Like, we catch up once a week. He runs 3 businesses. He's got a family of 5. We literally talk about his kids and his family. So, like, outlets are super important for all of you. Like, don't allow your sport to just be your be-all and end-all. Like, you've got to have something outside of that. Or else you go batshit crazy. Like, you will go literally crazy and go, why is it happening, why is it happening? And it's because your life's not balanced.
It's good. What's one thing you wish you did differently when you were younger?
Oh, I wish I did athletics or something so I could run. I wish I stuck with basketball for a little bit longer. One thing I wish I did when I was younger was probably learn about nutrition much, much earlier. It is...
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I can see boots and stuff, which makes me so happy, but like recovery, everything outside, so working hard in the gym, working hard on the court, super important. I mean, the court is where it happens, and in the gym, that's where you do your hard work. No one else can do it but you. You have all the support. Yes, yes, yes. One thing, I'm super into my sports people. I have so many quotes and stuff on my wall. Kobe's 24. 24 is the amount of hours that you have in a day to be the best you can be. For me, my training only takes up max 4 hours of that 24. Okay, so yes, that matters, but what are you doing for the other 20 hours? Sleeping. If you're not getting enough sleep, your body's not recovering, you're not well rested, you're not going to be your best. Finding your optimum sleep. It is so underrated. If you don't get enough sleep, you're more hungry, which is me. But spending your time meal prepping. My mum's German and my dad's Cook Island, which is just carbs and sweets. That is all that we would eat. That is all that I love to eat. Again, 4 brothers, it was always a competition at the dinner table to get food. So I never ate till I was satisfied. I ate till my stomach could not take it anymore. So it's been a lot of rewiring, going, you know what, this is a good meal. My mum's spaghetti bolognese, great, good carbs, but where's the salad? I probably didn't have a proper salad until I was like 18. It's like balance in all things. Having the protein, having the carbs because you need them to train, and then having like really healthy fats, just plate full of veggies, making sure your nutrition is good because that will also elevate your game. what are you doing to recover for your muscles? I hated rolling out. It was a workout in itself. I was like, this is meant to make my muscles feel good, but like, I'm on my elbows and my knees trying to roll out. I was like, this is a workout. I'm sweating just trying to roll out. But doing it. If not, go get a massage if I can't be bothered doing it myself. So using all of those hours to make me a better person, to train my mind as well as my body, because it doesn't just happen here. It's everything around that's going to help you become the best.
I've got a question for Pete. So, working with 70% females and a lot of developing players, how do you help them assist in that balance of their life while they're still aspiring to be strong athletes, but due to women's sports still being up and coming, they don't have that financial support from sport they might get if they, say, were male or in a bigger sport.
Yep.
How do you help with that balance of like being able to train and commit to a lot of sport, but also work to fund that?
Yeah, there's massive challenges. I mean, we're really lucky in the AFLW now and netball space. The salaries have increased to now, to a good minimum now is $40,000. So there is money coming in, and it's not the same for basketball. Like WNBL, openly, it's pitiful the money that is coming in to what they're able to be paid to be able to actually be successful. The biggest thing I'd say, especially, is make sure the balance is difficult, but it's also just being able to go, well, how else can I provide? So for me, I look at it and go, instead of Rahni having another part-time job, can we get appearance work? Can we get opportunities where she can coach? Can we connect with different brands that can create opportunities? So there's that aspect of it that's really important with it. And these guys are realistically, like we say, 38-hour work week. Like they're comfortably working 38 hours plus in everything when it comes to meal prep, to everything if you actually calculate it to be the best athlete you can. So it's creating those opportunities with it, but it's also being completely supportive that realistically, like best case scenario, so who knows the average amount of time? And I'm just going to say AFL because there's stats, there's so many stats with AFL, and I've actually got NBL, but the average time that someone's contracted in the AFL. So how long do you reckon the average span is that you actually play AFL?
3 years.
2.7. So 2.7 years. Average wage works out at $330,000 as an AFL footballer, which is bullshit. The reason it's so high is because you've got all the good guys earning heaps of amount of money, but if you're a rookie, you're on 80K. So for basically 3 years, best case scenario, you make, let's call it $300,000 over a 3-year period, and I can guarantee that you walk away with some sort of injury, something that holds you back from doing something else in your life. 300,000 sounds like a lot. You go to the NBL, for example, there's 4 development players in the last 11 years that have made it to a fully contracted multi-year deal. Development players get paid $19,000. Like, seriously, you don't even pay tax. It's that beautiful. You go to the WNBL, $3,500 along with a training partner, if you're a development player. So the biggest thing I'm trying to say is you need to find something outside of sport because sport's not forever. There's so many athletes that have 15-year careers and they would have earned themselves thousands of dollars and it goes out the drain. So that's another spot where we come in, is we help the athletes actually make good decisions with their money as well, as they start earning more money so that they can actually have something when they walk out. So it's really difficult because women's sport is probably the biggest challenge is like, especially with some of these AFLW girls and the high rate of injury at the moment. I think so far this season, what are we, 3 rounds in?
3 rounds.
13 ACLs.
Yes.
Yep, they don't have an insurance plan that's exactly like the AFL boys. You do an ACL and you're out of the system, you get paid for 2 years. Girls don't. So that's where education, especially on the female side, education or having a pathway to something that you're passionate about. Like I say education because it's the right thing to say, but I got passionate about going to find something that I love to try and drive it, and I've been a person that's always loved helping other people, so I always went into that. So it's not just education, but it's finding something you love and passionate about. So that's the big thing, is always having something outside of what you love to do, which is your sport, that's one day going to pay the bills at the same
But yeah, like that's kind of scary with those stats because, you know, it's the reality of sport is that no matter how good you are, it could only last for a couple of years. And that's important when you're trying to have a red hot crack as well.
I've got 2 questions. Then I'm done. What do you hope to do with your degree?
So I majored in physiology for science and arts in, criminology in arts. At the time, so I just graduated in March. Studying criminology made me realise that, you know, the police are the first point of contact for the community for like so many things. There should be specialised areas, but you know, there's not, and there's a lot of problems with the police. So I want to join the police academy. I want to help people because I'm the first person that they call. I want to build that relationship. There's a lot that goes wrong, but I think there's just so much good and so much help that we can do. So I want to be a police officer actually. And I was like, pretty big, 6 foot, intimidating person. And I was like, I feel like I can do pretty well. And yeah, I feel like a lot of people go in like freshly out of school, maybe not even out of school, but you know, fresh 18, get on a bit of a power trip. So I think learning about it, everyone needs to, you know, study if they want to join the academy because there's a lot of power there that can get abused. Unfortunately, we tried. I spoke to a few constables, like chiefs and stuff. The schedule for the academy was just way too inflexible. It was like 8 to 5, Monday to Friday. And netball, again, the schedule's way too inflexible. So it's something that I cannot do now. It'll have to be something that I do after netball. So this year for me has been exactly what Pete has said. Finding what I'm passionate about. He, you know, was asking me, what brands you might like, what do you like to do? And I was like, I don't know. Like, my life has always been studying netball, like trying to find what I like within that. The one thing I do know is that I love to play. I love to compete. I love to push myself. And Peter's helped me with that. He's also helped me with, how about we try a few things? Let's do this, see if you like it. Let's do this, see if you like it. I'm one of the athletes who loves appearances. I love interaction. I love coaching. So we've worked together many times on that. And yeah, finding my hobbies, Googling, what are hobbies? Examples of hobbies, please. And yeah, trying to find myself. So
It's good.
maybe more study, but don't want to put myself in debt for nothing.
Last question. Who's your biggest role model and why?
Oh my gosh. Like just in sport or in general?
You tell me.
I have so many. Probably the biggest one, it sounds a bit cliche, but it is my parents. My parents are some of the strongest people that I know, the hardest workers that I know. They inspire me. Dad would look up quotes on the internet. In my head, I have so many quotes that I know just from memory because on the drive-in, we would play my hype songs, which are really weird, actually, that my dad was playing those types of explicit songs when I was young. But he would also give me a quote every time we were in the car. He's like, every master started off as a beginner. You just need to take the first step. Muhammad Ali was his favourite because of that, arrogance. He's like, Rahni, you are good. You need to play like you're good. You need to hold your head up high. And then sometimes when I got too much, he'd be like, you need to humble yourself now. Like, sit down in this car. Mum and dad.
I'm going to follow up on that. Why?
Sporty?
No. Why do you feel your parents are so driven?
They've had so many struggles in their life. I felt like I've learned a lot just from them. They've led completely different lives to what I lead now. And the way my life is so different is because of them. They pushed me so hard even when I didn't want to be pushed. They always built me up. made me believe in myself and made me work for everything that I got. So both of my parents, I think I said, didn't graduate high school, so it was a struggle. Dad grew up in the islands and in New Zealand, and then he had to come here. Mum grew up in Noosa, which sounds good, but I think it wasn't the good side of Noosa. And like hitchhiked. She got kicked out of home when she was 17 and then came to Melbourne. They would go from paycheck to paycheck, and that's why they have such a good work ethic. And I just want to repay them for everything that they've done, you know. With their family, they kind of broke the cycle from what they'd been through, and they've provided us with the absolute best life that I can. So I want to do the most with it and just give it back to them.
It's good. Happy days. I can keep asking all night if you want, but don't take up too much time.
Awesome. Any last ones other than from other than everyone else, for sure? Sweet.
Oh,
Sounds
I've
good.
got one. Have you,
Yeah, let's go.
have you ever had trouble comparing yourself to others?
Always. Or especially as a shooter, you can directly compare stats. Like, how many goals did they shoot? How many did I shoot? How many centre passes did I receive? Like, you can do turnovers, and in netball, they have this thing called like miss and net points, where they like rate people. So if you shoot a goal, you get points. If you get a turnover, it's minus 10 points. And like, the player of the match is usually the person who has statistically scored the best. So if your opponent gets it, it makes you feel like crap. Or if the other goal attacker on the other team gets it, you also feel like crap, because it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much that I have to do. And that's why the staying present and staying true to myself has been a huge thing for me. As long as I'm happy and Pete is happy with with my performance that I put out, that's all that really matters to me. Like, what did I do with the opportunities that I was given? We lost the grand final this year, which is always hard, losing the last game. And we lost by quite a bit. It wasn't a small amount, it wasn't a close grand final. I was at peace with it. I played maybe 10 minutes in the entire grand final, and it wasn't a mind-blowing 10 minutes. I didn't shoot 100%. I think I missed my first goal, actually. So like, there's always little improvements, but I was like, you know what? I was actually put on during the super shot time. So I wasn't played in the first or second quarter, but when you can shoot 2-pointers, that's when they put me on. And it's a lot of pressure, which I invite, but it's like, you know what? It is a hard position, and I'm happy with what I put out. Yes, I could have done better, but I'm actually at peace with my performance. I wasn't on there for the full 60 minutes, so I couldn't do much. So what I can do in that time, that's great. And funnily enough, the goal attacking the other team won player of the match for the grand final, so I was like, fantastic. But it's not about them, it's about me. And the only person that I can beat should be me. It's like, I'm going to be better than the player who played last time. So always trying to improve on my own performance. It's not going to happen all the time. And you are going to have ups and downs as an athlete, but as long as you're trying to just beat yourself, it's going to be good. Great question.
It's good, really good. I think there's a lot of lessons there to learn. Nutrition and sleep, that was one of them, for sure. Thank you.
Shame.
Awesome. Thank you very much.